Well, the chill is in the air here in the Northeast, and that only means one thing. Old man winter's right around the corner. So what we're going to do here in the fall before it gets too cold is we want to tune up our snowblower, make sure we got the oil changed, it greased up, and ready to go for that first snowfall. Let's get started. On the back side of my snowblower, I've got a threaded nipple in here with a cap on the end of it. That's how you're going to drain the oil out of the engine. I ran it about 5 minutes before we started here, just to get that oil nice and warm and flowing pretty easy. So basically, I've got myself an old windshield washer jug, and I got a funnel. So I'm going to take that cap off and drain that oil right into this jug. You might want to lean her back a little bit so you can get her to drain out pretty good. Okay, we just put the cap right back on there. Tighten her back up. And now we'll go to adding in the new oil. Next we'll add the oil. My engine takes 26 ounces of oil, so let's add her in here. There you go, right on the dot. Now let's just stick the dipstick in there and see how close we got. You don't want to overfill these. And we're right on the full line, just like it's supposed to be. On the front of my auger, you're going to find two bolts. They're actually shear pins. They bolt the auger onto the auger drive shaft, and they act as sacrificial lambs to shear off in the event that you fetch up onto something solid like a chunk of ice or a frozen snowbank. They will snap off and allow this auger to turn, and it saves your gearbox up here. You don't want stripped out gears in that gearbox. Here's a shear pin up close. You notice there's a couple grooves purposely designed into this bolt. Those will create weak spots, so if it did hit something, it will snap off there at these grooves. It's always good to follow the year to take those bolts out and actually take a look at them, make sure that they're not bent or even started to shear off, and make sure that those are solid and straight, and if not, you can replace them right up. Okay, now I'm just going to back out these shear pins, if I get her going in the right direction. Just like that. And that one's in pretty good shape. Doesn't look bent. Isn't cracked anywheres. I'd say that one's pretty good. We'll put that one back in. Okay, we'll take this one out. That one looks like it's in pretty good shape. As you can see now, this auger will turn freely on the shaft. So now the next thing up is we're going to take and apply some grease on these Zerk fittings to lubricate that shaft. It doesn't really turn within the auger, but you don't want these augers rusting on here, so we're going to make sure that they're nice and greased up. Got the grease gun out here. I'm going to pop it on the Zerk fitting, and I'm going to give her a few pumps at the same time of rotating that forward, and then do the same for the other one. Now you might see the grease coming through your shear pin hole. That's good. It's good to see, and also starting to squeeze out some of the old grease off the end of the shaft here. So That's all good. You wanna spin that around and get that new grease in there, nice and distributed across that shaft. Then you're going to want to do it on the other side. There you go. Now we're going to pop the shear pins back in and then clean up the grease here that's oozed out around the fittings, and I think we're all set there. This next area to grease is a Zerk fitting right down here between the wheel and the housing. It's kind of hard to get at, and I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you're going to want to put your grease gun on that, give it a few pumps. Inside of here there's a series of gears that will need to get lubricated, and that's how you do it, right through that Zerk fitting. Down at the bottom of your auger you can see there's a scraper bar. You don't want that too low or it'll start grinding on your pavement, or if you have a gravel driveway it'll pick up a lot of rocks. So you want to make sure this is adjusted properly. Mine's getting some wear on it, and I might be replacing that fairly soon. But in the meantime I'm going to show you how I adjust the height of this scraper bar. On each side of the snowblower you're going to see these two skids. They're held on with two bolts with a slot in there for adjustment up and down. I like to stick a piece of wood that's about 1/8 of an inch thick underneath the scraper bar. That way it'll hold it up off the pavement far enough for me. I've got a paved driveway, so I can go down to 1/8 of an inch and it's not going to bother. But if you've got a gravel driveway, you want to make sure that that's up a lot higher than that, otherwise you're going to be throwing rocks all over the neighborhood. So I'm just going to tilt this back and stick this underneath here, about in the center. And that gives me about 1/8 of an inch underneath, clearance underneath this scraper bar down to my pavement. Then I'm going to go over to the side and I'm going to adjust that skid. I'm just going to loosen these bolts up a little bit. Give her a little love tap so the skid will go down to the floor, and then just cinch her up. Now we're going to go and do this to the other side. I will mention, if you notice my skids here, it's worn on the top. These are actually reversible, so if this does wear down pretty thin like mine did, you can just take that completely off, flip it over, and use the other side until that one wears down before you have to replace them. Now I'm going to take this piece of wood out, and I don't know if I can see under there, but I got a good 1/8 of an inch all the way across that scraper bar. That's right where we want to be. Well, that was pretty painless. Got the oil changed, greased the auger, checked out the shear pins, and even adjusted the skids. So I'd say I'm ready for that first snowflake of winter. If you like this video, give me the old thumbs up. If you like more of my videos, hit the old subscribe button. Make sure you get future videos down the road. Thank you.